More out now on the breaking news that we started this newscast with. Within the last half hour, a guilty verdict in the intoxication manslaughter trial of former Cowboys player Josh Brent. We want to bring in Dallas defense attorney and former police officer Pete Schulte to talk a little bit about this. You were floored by this decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody thought there might be an option for the jury to find him guilty of intox manslaughter, but this finding of a deadly weapon, where they're saying that the car that was driven by Mr. Brent that night was used in a way that caused the death, and it was a deadly weapon under the law. I mean, it really wasn't talked about much in the trial, so I'm really surprised that the jury came back and found the deadly weapon finding.
Because that is a very strong statement that they're making there. What does that portend going forward into punishment phase? Does that tell you anything about how this jury is leaning, what they're thinking?
Well, let's talk about what the deadly weapon finding actually does. If this had been an opportunity where if Mr. Brent had been found guilty of intox manslaughter, the decision to go to either the judge or the jury for punishment rests with the defendant. If he had decided to go to Judge Burns for sentencing instead of going to the jury, he would not have been eligible for probation.
Because of that deadly weapon?
Because of that deadly weapon finding. But because he's going to the jury, if the jury decides to sentence him to 10 years or less of prison and recommends probation to the judge, then the judge can probate the case for a period of up to 10 years.
So he does have a window of hope here as far as avoiding prison.
Correct. As long as the defense, and I never like to shift the burden to the defense in cases like this, but they're really going to have to show this jury. I mean, this jury is locked and loaded. I mean, they came back with both a conviction on intox manslaughter and a finding what we call the special issue, which was the deadly weapon. And I think they're going to have to do some convincing to this jury that Mr. Brent is a candidate for probation. And he is a Dallas Cowboy. I think there's going to be a lot of presentation by the state about how the partying was going on a regular basis, and probably the issues that Mr. Brent had while he was on bond are going to come up, and then the jury's probably going to deliberate for several more hours, decide what they're going to do.
And the defense was pretty quick in its presentation in the trial itself. Do you think that that'll be a much longer presentation once we get to the punishment phase?
I think the defense case, and now that we're in the punishment stage, is going to be a lot longer than it was in the guilt-innocence. Because again, the guilt-innocent phase, the state has the burden of proof. They had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Josh Brent did these things, and obviously by the jury verdict, they did. Now it's going to shift to the defense now to show this jury why Mr. Brent is a candidate for probation and why he'll be successful on probation.
But the headline here today, he obviously found guilty of intoxication manslaughter, but the bigger headline, you think, is that they found the deadly weapon finding.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by that because, again, it wasn't really talked about. And I mean, you could also argue that the jury is sending a message that, you're going to do this type of, behavior out on our roads on Dallas County, not only going to get convicted, but we're going to hammer you. Because on the back end, let's say he does get probation, if he violates his probation and the judge sentences him to prison, he has to do at least half of his prison time, where most people only have to do 25%. So that deadly weapon finding is a little bit of a stigma that he's going to have to live with through the duration of this trial.
It's a big key. Defense attorney Pete Schulte joining us this afternoon, sort of walking us through this. We'll be talking with you in the days to come, I'm sure, as the jury takes on the punishment phase here.